RV winterization mistakes that can cost you big. That's going to be our subject in Staying on the Road today in the Smart RVer podcast. And then we're going to jump into enjoying the RV life. Keeping the RV you have is what we're going to discuss, and not getting rid of it, but making it better. And then in the next stop, we're going to visit Guntersville, Alabama. And then in the news section of the show, Shadows of the Past, Towns That Once Were, we're going to visit Mentone, Alabama. And then in the RV section of the podcast, we're going to recommend a company called mobilervservice.com. So this is Eric Stark with the Smart RVer podcast, your trusted source for tips and insights to embrace the RV lifestyle without worries. Let's talk everything RV, and today is episode 167, so let's dig right into it. Good morning, Alexis. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm awake for once in the morning.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
Yeah.
Mainlining some coffee, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. So I actually have no complaints today.
Wow.
Nothing to rant about. I mean, there always is, but I'm not going to.
That's wild.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just going to focus on what's important, what everybody comes here for, becoming the smart RVer, not the angry RVer.
Right.
All right. So now I want to ask everybody to show some love today and recommend the podcast to everybody under the sun. We want to keep driving traffic to it, and we want to hear from you as well. So if you go to our website, thesmartrver.com, if you want to give us some feedback, ideas, go to the Contact Us page and share some information with us. And we'll also have a link in the description of the podcast and our phone number as well. So if you want to call, be my guest. All right, so let's get into enjoying the RV life. So now we're going to talk about keeping your RV and making it better. So rather than getting rid of it, because maybe you're getting tired of the looks of it, the feel of it, maybe it's a little musty on the inside, maybe little Billy spilled too much
milk,
cereal on the floor, ruined the carpet. So rather than get rid of the RV, get rid of the kid. I mean, let's get rid of the carpet, not the kid. Keep the RV, keep the kid, and let's get new carpet or replace the carpet with something.
Sure.
Now, Alexis, you have some experience on this. You and your husband recently, I guess, did a major not a major remodel, a little remodeling on your RV, and it kind of fits in with our subject today. So why don't you go ahead and take over?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, this kind of crossed my mind because we have an older trailer, which is great because it's built really well. We've talked about this before, the difference between older ones and brand new garbage. But little facelifts can really make a huge difference, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, which is nice. Doing a little bit of painting to refresh the color, or wallpaper. I know a lot of RVs have wallpaper, which it can be really easy to do, inexpensive. You can also give your RV new flooring, like we were talking about, either carpet or hard floor laminate. That's what we did in ours. We redid it with laminate instead of this really gross carpet that it had in it. So it just makes a huge difference. It makes it look more modern. It's cleaner. It's easier to clean, which is super nice. The other thing you can do is I updated the bedding, obviously. Somebody owned it before. We're not going to use their bedding. But making it really colorful and nice and comfortable, almost like a home away from home, can make an incredible difference for you and traveling. It's just super nice, and it looks really nice too when you're making your bed, even in an RV. The other thing we talked about was doing the bathroom, because it is such a small area. So it's really inexpensive to kind of give it a facelift. Maybe you need a new toilet, so you get a nice toilet in there. Or you redo the bathroom floor or the tiling in there. Just something to give it that little boost of a flair.
Right. And so, some of that stuff we talked about in previous episodes, like the bathroom just recently, a couple episodes back. And then like last year, probably, we talked about doing flooring, some things like that. And it's an inexpensive way to refresh the RV, give it that new feel. And another thing you can do is kind of go through it, make sure your tires are good, suspension is good, the things that keep it going down the road, just so you have that comfort, because the thought is you buy a new RV, everything's good.
Mm.
What a joke that is. You buy a new RV and you still have all the same problems. It's just you got a
Yeah.
payment along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So doing stuff to just make it safe and roadworthy, and then do the inside like Alexis mentioned. Those are great ideas, easy to do. The flooring is probably the hardest part just because it's this little confined area, But beyond that, everything's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And it's definitely do-it-yourselfer stuff. I mean, I see tons of RVs that have been all tricked out on the inside. And, like I would personally never paint paneling, but a lot of people do, and it looks good,
Yeah.
Or wallpapering. Some of the paneling has lines in it, so you can't really
Right.
wallpaper it, but, you can get creative or wallpaper portions of it or whatever, get an old tire, cut it, and put
There you go.
pictures of me from the Smart RVer podcast. That always works.
Inspiration.
All right, for sale in the lobby on the way out. All right, so there's some great tips. So what do you think a couple takeaways would be, Alexis, from that?
Just don't throw away something that's perfectly good. It is so inexpensive, especially if you do your research beforehand. And one thing is, take advantage of local business, because not only is it easier to kind of talk with somebody in person about what you're doing on a project, but then if you do need to return something, it's way easier than doing it online. So I really recommend trying to get that local aspect in there if you're doing a project on your RV.
Yeah, it's great advice. All right, perfect. So now the full article will be on our website, thesmartrver.com, under Enjoying the RV Life. It's right there. Boom, you can enjoy it and get some ideas from it. Now, let's go to Staying on the Road. And we're going to talk about RV winterization mistakes that can cost you big. When you do it wrong, it goes wrong quickly. Or if you don't do it at all, it goes wrong quickly. And now I know for some people that have RVs, they're not living here they're not living in some place like Montana where you get this harsh winter where you have to winterize because you get below freezing too much. And when it freezes, the water lines break, water heaters break, things like that if you're not prepared for it. So for you guys, it's probably not as big of a deal to listen to this, but keep it in mind in case you decide to travel in the wintertime, someplace where it is freezing, because you don't want to go into that freezing area with water in your system, because then it can freeze and break faucets, toilets, toilet valves, whatever it might be. So, keep it in the back of your mind that if you're going to live in California, let's say, you're driving to Salt Lake City in the wintertime and it's below 32 degrees there for, a length of time, it's going to freeze. And even driving down the road, everything gets colder because now you got the wind chill factor.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be mindful of that. Now, for those people that live in the colder areas where you do winterize, you drain the water out and do that whole deal. I know we're a little late, well, middle of the season, if you will. We're in January.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like here, we still have people that are winterizing their RVs in Montana. They're coming in, do you have some of this? Do you have some of that? I need to get my RV winterized. You're like, yeah, what's the point? You might as well just wait till spring now and just replace what's broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the wintertime, to winterize it, it's kind of harder to do as well. You want to do it before it freezes. But there's sometimes things you forgot about, you missed, you didn't realize you needed to do it. And RVs essentially are not designed for cold weather. They're designed for warm weather. Even some of the ones that boast the Arctic package and the sub-zero stuff, you still have to be smart about it, because portions of it can freeze because they're exposed, like a water heater. Maybe the inside of the RV doesn't get as cold, but that water heater has a door facing the outside, and therefore it can freeze. So you have to be smart about it. And, one of the things that we see quite often come springtime that's very expensive is the water heaters weren't drained. And then the water freezes in it, it splits the tank, and then you need a new water heater. And that's, a minimum of $700 or $800.
Yeah.
Plus the hassle of doing it. And then if you have an Atwood water heater that is still the old style Atwood, then it's a conversion to something different. And that can be even more time consuming, more frustrating, because you're not going to find an Atwood to go back in there. Suburban makes a knockoff of it, but it's still a change. and it's throwing money at something that's working fine. So why bother with that? And the new Dometic water heaters, they have aluminum tanks, so they're more susceptible to freezing or splitting easier when they freeze. So that's to save you some money. So if you haven't drained your water heater, drain it. Don't assume that it's going to be okay if you haven't done that. And as you're, I don't want you to go back through your RV physically and check everything, but mentally go through the list. Did you run RV antifreeze through the water lines? Did you see pink coming out of all the faucets, the toilet, the shower valves? If you have an outside kitchen, did you run the antifreeze through the sink there? Did you make sure, or did you forget about it? If you have an outside shower, which, we sell a lot of those too come springtime. You forget about the outside shower. And did you run water through or antifreeze through it to get all the water out? And now some people blow it out, and that's fine. So if you're using air and you're blowing out, did you get those things? Did you get the outside kitchen? Did you get the outside shower and make sure there's no water in there? And what we've kind of found, whether it's RV antifreeze or air, sometimes if you get some water stuck in a valve, especially a faucet valve, because those stem and bonnets that you turn, they're very tight tolerances. So it doesn't take a lot of water to break one of those when it freezes, because it expands and boom. The water lines are probably not really going to break because PEX is very durable. And then the flexible lines will flex somewhat, but you don't want to chance it. But it's the faucets, the water heater, the water valve in your toilet. There's another one. Gosh, the Dometic 300 series toilets, we sell a ton of those valves come springtime,
Yes.
It's like you keep mounting like an egg carton, buy a dozen, get the 13th free.
Right.
But so keeping that stuff in mind, it's important that you do this because, you've saved some money winterizing it, or you paid someone to do it. And just because you paid someone doesn't mean that it's done right. We hear it all the time. We paid this company to do it and this broke. We paid that company to do it and this broke. So you want to make sure it's right. And now when a company does it, you can't be there and second guessing them. You have to hope they did it right. But if they didn't do it right one year, they're probably not the company you want to go back to the second year unless they have a good answer for it. And a lot of companies, from what we found out, if you have a problem with the winterizing, let's say a faucet breaks or is broken come springtime, you put water in it, they won't do anything about it. Most of them just say, well, we don't know what you did during the wintertime, so we're not responsible. And there's some logic to that because they don't know what you did. But then again, if there's still antifreeze in the line, you probably didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And, I don't think most people are going to, let's say, de-winterize their RV, break a faucet, and then re-winterize it to pin it on a dealership or something.
Right.
They might do that to you, but you want to do that to them. So those are things to keep in mind as you're going through this whole winterize process. And, skipping steps doesn't work. Draining the water lines, draining the freshwater tank, the holding tanks, you need to do that. That's what's going to make it a complete winterization. And let's see, Alexis, you and Cole, this is your first winter with your RV?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel confident in Cole's ability to get it winterized?
I hope so. I think so.
Yeah, so Cole's sitting right over here. He's kind of running the show. He's our Spielberg.
He is.
So he's grinning and laughing, but he's, got a shopping list already made out, I see now.
I know, that's not
So
good.
yeah, you do it right. And let's see, your father-in-law, he has an RV as well, and I know he does his own thing.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And come springtime, he's problem-free.
Yes, exactly.
So that's it. So it is possible.
Yeah.
I do mine, and come springtime is problem-free. Now, what I do with mine is I blow it out and put RV antifreeze through it. And
Very smart.
I buy extra antifreeze. I don't really care. I mean, if you're paying $5 for a gallon of antifreeze and your RV needs like 2.5, 3.5 gallons to do it properly, and you run it 4 gallons through, or 5 gallons through there, what's an extra $5?
Mm-hmm.
Or $8? You spend that on coffee every day.
Exactly.
So it's cheap insurance. A faucet's going to cost you $50 maybe, plus your time.
Yep.
So why not just spend an extra $5 or $10 in antifreeze and just make sure it's clear? And that's for those that use antifreeze. Air is a different story for those that use air.
Yes.
And, there's pros and cons to both. But anyway, we're getting maybe a little off track here, but just go back through mentally, make sure that you've drained everything, go through that checklist and have that confidence. So when springtime comes, you're not dreading draining the RV antifreeze out, de-winterizing. You're pacing back and forth like your wife's having, the sixth child and you're smoking a cigar, panicked. Just go out there and do it and just put water in it and have confidence you did it right. If you made a mistake and something breaks, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world because you saved a ton of money if you winterize it yourself anyway. Now, if you paid, that's a different story. You just go buy the part and replace it. But it's a learning experience. And, you might go through 2 or 3 toilet valves because those seem to be an issue for some people, getting them winterized. But just take it as a learning experience. Some people actually just take the valve out. It is called quits. We'll just take the valve out, cap off the line, and it's done. And that's a way to do it as well. So you have to find your thing. If you're having problems with one specific faucet or water valve or something, then maybe that's your course, is to just take it out of the system. I don't think that's easier. It kind of makes it harder in some ways. A faucet, you could loop the 2 lines together to make sure the antifreeze goes through, but just thinking out loud here. So just do that and make sure you're using RV antifreeze that's for winterizing, and you're not using boiler antifreeze, which is like, $25, $30 a gallon, $40 a gallon, whatever it is today.
Yeah.
Make sure you're using RV antifreeze and it's pink. And you're not going to AutoZone or O'Reilly's and buying automotive antifreeze. That doesn't work either.
No.
You can't drink that. Well, you can, but you might have a little digestive tract problem.
Yeah. It's not
Maybe your dreams will
Pepto-Bismol.
be super wild for a while. Maybe you just die. Who knows?
Oh gosh.
But if you die, you die. So make sure you don't use automotive. Use RV antifreeze because it's food grade. So in other words, you could drink it if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend that. But anyway. So, just double check everything. Make sure it's good. And if your RV's outside, check it throughout the winter. If you get a lot of snow or a lot of rain, to make sure there's no leaks. No water's dripping inside, destroying the ceiling and other investments, because the roof protects the RV. So make sure that roof is in good shape. So you're going to have to actually go into it. So if it's in storage, plan on making a trip to the storage lot, going in that RV, checking it out. And do it sooner than later, because, as humans, we like to put things off. I'll get it next weekend. Next weekend comes, you know what? I'll get it the next weekend. And then pretty soon, spring is here. And you go open up the door of your RV and, water and fish come pouring out because you didn't check it and you had a horrible leak. Well, maybe not fish, but mold and guppies. No, I don't know. Whatever gets in there. Maybe a skylight broke and some birds came in, some seagulls.
Yeah.
So you want to avoid that. All right, so that's my final thoughts on that. So we're not going to talk about winterizing again until next September, October, something like that. I'm done with it. So the takeaways are: make sure you've winterized properly and don't leave it to chance. Check and double check everything and check it out throughout the winter time to make sure there's no issues that are visible. And if something did happen to freeze and break, let it stay until spring. Don't mess with it trying to fix it now. It's not worth it. Spring will come. Take care of it then. All right, so now as a call to action, go to our website and use the contact us page and let me know how you winterize your RV and what some of the problems you face are. That way we have a little better idea of what's happening out in the field, because we have ideas here who comes into our store, but different areas of the country, they experience different types of problems in the winter. So let us know. Go to the contact us page on the smartrver.com or in the description of the podcast. We'll have it there as well. But let me know what's going on with your RV during the winter time. All right, now that brings us to the next stop. And now today in the next stop, it's going to be a little bit different because we're going to have the next stop portion like we normally do. And then we're going to have the Shadows of the Past, Towns That Once Were.
Yes.
And that's the new addition to the show. And we're also picking 2 places, a modern town, if you will, close to a town that once was or a shadow of the past.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be geographically too far apart. That way, if you want to stay in the bigger town and visit the smaller town, you got a place to go, you got an idea. So we're going to jump into this and see how it goes today. So let's start with Guntersville, Alabama. And Alexis, what do you think about Guntersville, Alabama?
I think the city is pretty neat. We kind of were looking it up on a map, and the way it's situated is right on a lake, and it kind of curves in and out of the lake. It's very interesting. It's very cool. So just seeing that in the first place is kind of neat. But there's a state park there. There's a lake, obviously, so you can see a lot of wildlife and birding, do all that. There's museums. What else do they have? They have an art and a lake festival every year. So it's right near the lake and you can go see the local art, which is pretty cool. There's always like local attractions like that. They have Main Street dancing and dining. The Screaming Eagle zip line, which I love that name, but they have that there. So that can be for the kids. Maybe not you. Um, but there's a lot there. The Cathedral Cavern State Park, Marshall Space Flight Center. So a lot to see, a lot of places to stay, and a lot of places to eat while you're there. So Guntersville is definitely one to see.
All right, there's always food everywhere we go.
Oh yes.
Gotta have food.
Know it.
Now, one thing too about Guntersville is that it actually goes back to the Cherokee Nation, so it's been around for quite a while.
Yes.
In fact, John Gunter, who, if you guys never heard of him, he was a Scottish trader who married a Cherokee woman, and that's kind of how it came to be, the relationship with the Cherokee and the history. So you can see it goes back in time, and then there's going to be a little Indian flavor to it as well, American Indian. Not Curry Indian, but American Indian.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a cool place, and it's modern, but it's still got some history to it. You
definitely.
know, a lot of these towns that were older, they became larger towns today, and so we don't really consider them like a shadow of the past, a town that once was. They're there because they're big and have all the amenities. If they got a Walmart, you know, forget it.
Yeah,
I think Guntersville has a Walmart.
It does.
Yeah, so you see, it's just considered a big town. So all the history doesn't matter. Walmart overruled that.
Who cares?
Okay, so now let's go to Mentone, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So Mentone, Alabama is the town that falls into the shadows of the past, the towns that once were. So this is a much, much smaller town with actually more historical value to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Alexis, what are some of the things that you saw about Mentone that was, I guess, interesting to you?
Well, on the history of it, it's pretty interesting. It's got obviously some Civil War connections. During the Union campaign in 1863, the Union troops, they went through Mentone, did a little combat in that area. There's also Cherokee history. Mentone was once part of the Cherokee Nation. And Sequoia, hopefully I'm saying that right, the creator of the written Cherokee language, lived in that area. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty interesting. So it really is a very cultural site, and kind of neat to see. Some of the natural attractions there are the DeSoto Falls, which is very close, and they're waterfalls that are just beautiful, named after Hernando de Soto. He was a traveler, an explorer. And then Lookout Mountain Parkway, and this is beautiful. If you look at pictures of traveling on this, it is stunning. You can just see a beautiful vista from the top, and then you can see the town, overlook the town, so it's kind of neat. Yeah, there's so much to do in the town. It's a timeless little mountain village. If you were to search pictures of it, it's very quaint, very rustic. There's some really cute older buildings there that you can go and visit that have shops in them, and there's vintage cabins, there's mountain roads that you can travel on. And so it really is kind of still set in the past, which I think is very unique about some of these towns.
Right. And so if you go to our website, the whole article's there and more pictures, right?
Yes, more
Okay,
pictures.
so we got more images, and it's an old town. And in fact, there's a YouTube video. I forgot about this.
Yes.
A couple did this video, and it kind of shows some of the outlying areas. It's a two-part, or the video shows another town closer by. I forget the name of it.
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter, but we'll put a link to that. We'll try to find that because it gives you more of a visual too in the videos. And like they showed DeSoto Fall, I believe, in the off season, so there wasn't a lot of water going through it, so it wasn't as magnificent as when there's, like in the springtime when there's more water coming through it. So those are just things to keep in mind when you go there, that the water might be up, might be down, depending on the year, more people, less people.
Right.
But it is a cool little town, and we're doing these towns like this because it brings everybody to the past when things were much better, simpler. I think they were harder times in some ways, but they were simpler.
They were.
You didn't have all the technology, all the distractions,
right,
all the noise, if you will. So, look at these towns we're bringing up and, do a little exploring on your own. It's going to whet your appetite, and it's going to make you think, yeah, I'd rather go to some of these places than these bigger places like Guntersville or any other place that's on a larger capacity. It might have all the amenities, but these little towns are much cooler.
Right.
And more enjoyable, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can go to our website as well, and all that information's there under the next stop at thesmartrver.com. And as a reminder, don't forget about us on YouTube. Go there and check us out and share us with everybody. I've emphasized that, re-emphasized that, and our numbers are growing.
Yes, they are.
We're getting more subscribers, more views, so that's cool. In fact, we get people calling, appreciating our videos and telling us how great we're doing there. So you guys take a look at that and see if you can enjoy some. All right, and now we're going to go to RV Envy. And so this is going to be about mobilervservice.com. So what is that? The name kind of describes it, but it's not one company that services the United States. What it is, it's a business that has a website where you go there and you put in your zip code and mobile RV technicians pop up. And then you can pick from the technicians in your area who you want to come out and do your RV repair if you're not doing it yourself. Now, I talked to the owner of it the other day. It's interesting. This has been a project that's been going on for a couple of years now. So they're still working through perfecting it. And I think it's pretty good at this point because it's been on my radar for a couple of years, and I haven't really talked about it until I wanted to talk to the owner, and we finally got that done. So they're improving things for the technicians on the backside, things that wouldn't affect you as an RV owner, but it would help you. Like they're doing invoicing and things like that, where you can have this stuff up front, an estimate through the app, which makes it a little more legitimate. It's going to make you more comfortable when you're hiring this technician to come out and do something. And now one thing you do have to know is these mobile RV technicians that are recommended on here, they're not always going to be the best RV tech. They're working on a way to filter that some, but it can be difficult to do because all RV techs are going to say they're the best. I've been doing this for 40 years, I've been doing it for 100 years, I've been doing it for 20 years, 10 years, and I'm the best. But it doesn't always make them the best. So if you have a problem, you don't blame it on the website or the company, mobilervservice.com. It's the technician that's the problem.
Right.
So definitely do your research before you have a technician come out. Talk to him, make sure you have a comfort level with him that, you're comfortable with and that he can work with as well. You don't want to be so demanding it makes him like, I don't want to deal with you. You don't want to go that far.
Mm-hmm.
But the technicians, most mobile RV techs, I shouldn't say most, a lot of them really are in business. They want to make a success of their business, so they're going to take care of you. Some mobile RV technicians, and this might offend some out there if they're listening to the show, but some of them come from a business, a shop they worked at, and they want to go mobile, but maybe they lack some experience in customer service. Maybe they're good at fixing things, but their customer service skills are very poor. So you might have to deal with that. But overall, it can eliminate some guesswork in finding technicians, because most technicians that are fly-by-night or shady probably aren't going to be subscribing to this website, because if they're really bad, it's not going to last long. They're just going to get cut off.
Right.
If the company gets more and more complaints about someone, then eventually it's going to have to come to an end. So they won't be there. And also, if you do have problems with the tech, you can contact Mole RV Service and share the experience. And depending on what it is, they might be able to intervene and help you with that problem. You know, I'm not going to guarantee that, but they are there. It's a service. They want to build their business, and their business is going to be on customer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a good alternative. So there's a link to it in our description of this podcast, and we'll probably have a link somewhere on the website as well. Well, we will. You know, and again, I always say that because we're recording these sometimes before we get things done. But like, you know, you guys are going to be waiting for it, but you're not. By the time this comes out, it'll be there.
Yes.
Kind of forget this sometimes.
That's okay.
But everything will be there. And so that will help you out. And so as a final reminder, check out our YouTube channel and subscribe, but also go there, just look at the videos, enjoy them. You know, we take a different angle on all the videos we do. They're much different than a lot of the videos, and we're changing them. We're dialing it in. We're changing how we do everything at the Smart RVer to help you guys become even smarter and better at what you're doing when it comes to do-it-yourself stuff. And then that's where sometimes contacting us, talking to us about things, it helps us to improve. So we appreciate that whenever you do. So in our next episode is going to be 168, so that'll be out in a couple weeks. So we had a great show today. I want to thank everybody for listening, and Alexis for her great articles on the Next Stop and Enjoying the RV Life. So this is Eric Stark with the Smart RVer Podcast, your go-to guide for smarter RVing and unforgettable adventures on the open road.